Why raise? What's the money going to be used for?
Well, thanks for having me. And the primary purpose for this particular Series E raise is actually to accelerate our grid energy storage business. So many people think of us as a battery recycler only, but on top of that platform, we've built a growing energy storage business that is really quite exciting.
JB, I'm recognizing that there's a pivot here for Redwood, right? And the question that we get a lot for you is, what is the viability of that legacy recycling business under the Trump administration and the policy environment we're in? Could you explain that based on the emphasis you're putting on this next-gen energy demand from data centers?
Yeah, well, I guess the first thing I'd highlight is, there are no federal incentives. There's no sort of infrastructure for the federal government to support battery recycling. There never has been. So what we do and others do is purely driven by economics and being competitive today with mined materials. And in this current Trump administration, actually, we've seen huge excitement around the critical materials nature of what we're working on. Because, very directly, we're a quite substantial source of cobalt, nickel, and lithium, and copper, all of which is domestically sourced. It's already here, it's already secure. So from that point of view, I actually am perhaps even more excited about the core recycling business in this administration than I have been in the past.
Well, JB, just real quick, I was of the understanding the IRA did provide for incentives for recycling. Am I wrong about that?
No, the IRA provides incentives for some of the material manufacturing that sort of evolves further downstream from recycling. So if you were to make, so that's the more the manufacturing side, but in terms of collection, refining, and selling those materials back, there's no incentives, there's no particular premiums for that material.
And boy, in this moment of electrification, in this moment of need for compute and data centers, do we need a lot of those mined materials that you talk about, and with rare earth metals being a concern too. I'm interested in just who you then get strategically on the cap table to drive that forward, JB. Why Nvidia, for example? Interesting that they're coming on.
Well, Nvidia's interest is clearly evolving from our energy storage business. And what we're doing is taking old transportation battery packs, refurbishing them, and then redeploying them, extending their life in a very low-cost setting to provide these energy storage services for data centers, for AI factories, and for the expansion of industrial grid electrification. And this is one of the cheapest ways to provide grid energy storage. It's far cheaper than deploying brand new batteries, and it can be a complementary strategy alongside of our materials recycling. So this is really what's driven NVIDIA's excitement. I think they see that energy access and electricity availability has become a key strategic point for AI factory expansion.
Can we talk about the money, therefore, that you need coming in? You've raised this equity, but you're also depending on money coming from a federal perspective, a $2 billion loan from the Department of Energy. How is that in status? How are you seeing that navigation when it looks as though the current administration wants, well, equity for every time that they're giving some sort of federal funding?
Well, everything we're doing is supported by private funding. That's something we're pretty proud of, and this round continues that focus. The government obviously has taken a different approach in looking at the DOE loan program, and there's a huge amount of interest in a lot of these projects. But I'd say from our point of view, we're focused on critical materials and energy storage, and looking at the applicability of that for those interests.
JB, you are on Tesla's board. You recused yourself from the special committee on comp. I know that. Elon's argument is he needs voting control of Tesla. Explain that to me as if I were a 5-year-old, please. The basics of why the board's position is that Elon should have voting control.
Well, I can't say too much more about Tesla matters today, but maybe I would just comment that the focus is really on providing shareholder value, and that's really the sort of first and foremost direction that we look at these things from. So I think this proposal, really does that, and it provides, potential incredible upside growth to the existing and future shareholders.
And lastly, JB, you're aware of the Bloomberg reporting about the manual release mechanism in Tesla car doors. From the board's perspective, are you aware of any action Tesla's taking to change the design of that mechanism, or has it been discussed at the board level?
Well, again, I can't go too deep on these topics, especially, if there's any ongoing legal proceedings, but, we take any safety matters incredibly seriously. This is one of the most important issues, and we're constantly watching that. We're constantly looking at, new events and reports, and, we'll stay, closely aware of any actions going on there.